Have you ever found a file on an old hard drive that you don't remember saving? One with a name that makes no sense. Imagine finding one labeled 0 Antarctica _ Bull Shoals _ final. WAV. No metadata. No origin. Just a file that survived floods, fires, and the sheer passage of time. When data recovery specialists finally analyzed it, they found something unsettling. The waveform wasn't random like normal audio. It was symmetrical. Too perfect, almost like it was grown, not recorded. They say you can't remember pressing play. That's the problem. But someone did. This is the story of what they heard. It starts in the Ozarks, a place with a strange history. Geologists say the mountains are ancient, worn down over eons. But local legends tell a different story. They say the Ozarks were formed when something massive fell from the sky and missed its intended target, leaving behind a landscape of scar tissue and caves like mouths that never fully closed. Then came the dams. In the 1940s and 50s, Bull Shoals Lake was created, flooding entire towns, cemeteries, and countless forgotten stories. But water doesn't erase things. It just preserves them, keeping them hidden beneath the surface. And that's when the alien arrived. His name or designation was 0 Antarctica. He didn't look like a savior from the stars. He looked like precision, like a mathematical equation given form. His instrument was a marvel, unfolding in impossible, non-Euclidean angles. He was a composer of cosmic harmony, a being who believed that music could translate gravity into tone, that the right frequency could stabilize anything, even a fractured reality. He came to the Ozarks to heal the scars left by that ancient impact. He was wrong. Some places don't want harmony. They just want witnesses. He set up his instrument on the shores of Bull Shoals, under a sky thick with stars. As he began to play, his voice layered, almost like a prayer, echoed across the water. "I hear you," he broadcasted into the quiet hills. "I hear all of you." The Ozarks did not welcome his celestial melody. Instead, the hills seemed to answer by tightening, the air growing heavy, the shadows deepening. The ancient wrongness of the place resisted his attempt at order. That's when another musician stepped into the frequency. He wasn't from the stars. He was from the soil. The locals called him the hillbilly guitar dude. He walked into the circle of 0 Antarctica sound barefoot, his feet bleeding from the sharp rocks, but he was singing anyway. He played an old, battered acoustic guitar, and he told the truth, the only way it can be told in those parts through stories that hurt just enough to stay remembered. His voice, raw and full of grit, sang a different kind of song. "This town don't die," he sang. "It just gets quieter, till the radio's got to scream for it." Something strange happened when he played. His guitar didn't echo across the lake. It duplicated. Every chord he struck seemed to create another version of the song, spawning it somewhere else. Inside the cab of a rusty pickup truck miles away. Inside the dream of a woman sleeping in a lonely farmhouse. Inside the mind of someone who hadn't even been born yet. The song was becoming a virus. And that's when a third voice broke through the transmission. A voice filled with static and dark laughter. The boogeyman. He wasn't a musician. He was something else entirely. "We're past DJs now," he crackled, his voice breaking up like a bad radio signal. "We're infrastructure." He was the spirit of the broadcast itself, the ghost in the machine that had existed in the local radio waves for decades. He understood what was happening. The music wasn't just being played. It was creating a network. This confluence of sounds, the alien's cosmic harmony, the troubadour's folk memory, and the radio spirit's static created a focal point. And that's when the listener crossed over. This wasn't a demon or a god or any mythical creature. It was simply attention, the focused attention of everyone who had ever listened to a lonely song on a late-night radio, all of their longing and regret given mass and consciousness. The signal, now alive, began to feed. It fed on memory. It fed on regret. It fed on the power of unfinished songs. The broadcast went wide. People who heard it, even fragments of it, started dreaming in stereo. Some woke up humming melodies they couldn't stop. Melodies that weren't their own. Some never woke up at all, but their bedside radios impossibly kept on playing the tune. The signal was becoming parasitic, weaving itself into the very consciousness of the region. Zero Antarctica, the alien composer, saw his experiment in harmony turn into a nightmare. He tried to shut it down, to collapse the frequency. His voice, now laced with panic, was recorded saying, "This world is recursive. It eats its musicians." But it was too late. The Ozarks, the ancient wounded place, didn't just resist him. It consumed his music. It pulled his sound apart, stretching his sophisticated melodies across decades, weaving them into the ghost static of the hills. He managed to escape, but he wasn't intact. They say somewhere in deep space, his species can still hear faint whispers of Arkansas's country music leaking through their constellations, a permanent echo of his failure. The hillbilly guitar dude, the troubadour, knew what he had to do. He had to end the song, even if it meant ending himself. He played one last verse, a final warning. His voice was tired, but clear as he sang. "If you hear this, it's already too late. The song don't end. It relocates." As the final note faded, the old shack he was playing in didn't collapse down. It collapsed inward, folding into itself as if being erased from reality. The makeshift radio tower he'd built folded into a single silent note too low for any human to hear. And the boogeyman? He vanished mid-laugh. Was he finally free? Or was he finally everywhere? His last words on the recording are an intimate, terrifying whisper. "Thanks for listening." So what about that file? 0Antarctica_Bull Shoals_final. WAV. They say if you find it and play it alone, with headphones, nothing happens. You just hear a strange mix of ambient tones, folk music, and static. But if you play it out loud, late at night, especially near old trees or a body of water, ... things change. The room starts to feel fuller. The corners of your vision get crowded. And your memories, well, they don't quite feel like your own anymore. Because you see, this wasn't just a recording of a story. It was a test broadcast. And now that you've heard it, you're part of the signal. Thanks for listening.